Hello, everyone. I'm Lynn, and I'm super excited for today's interview. I have here with me my friend Johanna, who did her bachelor degree at the University of Groningen, located in the Netherlands, and she's currently studying a master degree in Paris, and more concretely at Sciences Po University. And as always, the interview is going to be divided in 4 parts. Okay, so in the first part, we're going to talk about Johanna's educational path before the university. So in here, we will be learning about how is the educational system in Germany and how you can apply for a foreign university. In the second part, we will be learning more about the University of Groningen in the Netherlands. And afterwards, we will focus on the international relations and international organization bachelor degree and the program's content. And last but not least, we'll go through the master and Johanna's personal experience, okay? So if you're interested, please stay with us in the whole video. And everything has been said. So I'm going to start today's interview by asking Johanna to introduce herself.
Hi, everyone. I'm very excited. It's my first time on YouTube. I'm Johanna. I'm from Germany. I'm from Bremen. That's in the north of Germany, close to Hamburg. And as Lynn has said, I did my high school in Germany, in Bremen. And then I went directly to the Netherlands to do my bachelor there. Yes, and we are talking today about that.
Okay, great. So we're going to start the first part. So please explain your educational path before university and how is the German educational system designed?
Okay, maybe I'll start with the German educational system in general. You have 8 years of school or 9 years of school, and the last 2 years, they are usually your high school in the narrow sense. So in the 2 last years, all your grades count into your final average. Plus you have 4 final exams.
So you said that there's like 4 years of primary school, and then you go to the secondary school. But how many years is the secondary school?
8 to 9. In my case, it was 9 years. Most Bundesländer, because you have to know Germany is made up of provinces that have a lot of rights. Like Catalonia has different rights than other provinces in Spain. So education is actually a thing of the Bundesland, of the province. And some Bundesländer, they have 9 years of high school, well, 9 years of gymnasium or Gesamtschule, and then there are some people, the majority has 8, I believe. Okay. I'm not up to date, but yeah.
Wow, but that's a lot, right? So if
that's still 12 years. I think you also have 12 years.
Oh, okay.
Germany doesn't have any university entry exams. We have our average 1.1 to 4.1, 1.0 to 4.0, and this average is 100% that counts for getting into universities. So you have certain subjects that have a very strict entry control. So for example, medicine, psychology, actually also international relations, which is barely taught in Germany, but if it's taught, it has a super high entry level. That is called numerus clausus, which is Latin. I don't know how you use a Latin word, but it's basically looking at how many people last year applied, how many places they have, and according to how many places they're available, they take let's say they have 100 places, so they will take the first 100 best students that applied, according to the average. And then they will see basically what average the 100th person had, and that is then the numerus clausus for next year. It's kind of idea how to orient yourself, like how you're doing in comparison to others. So in medicine, the numerus clausus is usually 1.0.
The highest grade is 1.0. That's weird. So, and the
I know.
Okay.
Lowest is 6.0, but you will not. I mean, 6.0 that means you didn't pass. So the lowest that you could have is 4.0. Okay,
so the next question is, how does it cost to study in a public university in Germany?
It's for free.
It's for free.
You pay an administrative fee that I don't know the specifics. It is very low in comparison to what you get. It's maybe 300 euros or something. But yeah, you do not really pay for studying in Germany. That is also a reason why a lot of students in Germany take a lot of time to study. It's not like I heard that in Spain there's a lot of pressure that you actually finish in 4 years. Well, in Germany the bachelor is 3 years, not 4, but a lot of people take 4 or even 5 years because there are very little sanctions that they get, except they get public support.
So next question, how did you apply for a university, even though I think you already explained, but what were like the requirements, and is it common for Germans to go outside and study outside?
So applying to the Netherlands have other application system than the German universities. They still don't have entry exams, but you have to write an application. At least, okay, so I went to a program that is quite popular. So it has the most fixes. It's a bit different from the German numerous classes. It means that they say they will, I think in my program, they said they will accept 260 students. And you have to apply, and then obviously they rank you like from 1 to, I don't know how many people applied. And then the first 260 they get taken in. But they do not only take into account your Abitur average grade or your baccalaureate or wherever you did your final exams, but you have to write a motivation letter. You have to like describe, it's kind of like a very typical application process, motivation, where you see yourself, why you want to particularly study this. Then they gave you an article. I remember it was something about the Ukraine, but I don't know what. It's been a while. And you have to answer some questions about it. So you have to demonstrate some analytical strength, obviously on a very terribly low level, because they are taking high school students. So they know that a lot of high school students might not have learned these skills. But they kind of look at how well you are in reasoning, even if it's very rudimentary. And yeah, I got ranked, if I remember correctly, 90 out of, I don't know how many applied. But even if you like might apply to this particular program and you get ranked higher than a 260, is nothing lost yet. They take, actually a lot of people jump off and then they take people that were ranked higher. I think up to like 320 or something, you're kind of safe that you still get in.
Okay.
If you actually want. I saw that 2019, and that was still before COVID, obviously, there were around like 200,000 German students abroad studying. So it's not that much. Actually, most German students that go abroad, they study in Austria because it's in German. And then the second highest share goes to the Netherlands, where I went, because their education system is in English, and you have to pay tuitions, but it's rather cheap in the international comparison. It's like in Spain that you pay around 2,000 euros per year. In my case, they accept the German high level English Abitur.
Why did you choose to study abroad? Like, and why in the Netherlands?
I was still considering studying in Germany, but I was never really enthusiastic about just studying in Germany. I really wanted to get out of Germany, not because I hate Germany or anything. I really like Germany most of the time, but because I wanted to see something new. I had been in Germany for 18 years. I was like, this is enough. I need something else. And I want to study in English. And if you want to study in English, I mean, most people think of the US or the UK, and that is way too expensive for me, at least. So the Netherlands are a really nice, way of getting English education and not getting immediately bankrupt. So that's why I chose the Netherlands.
Since when did you realize that you want to study international relations?
So I was really obsessed with mathematics and astronomy and computing science and all these things. But then I kind of changed. I think it started during like 2015. I started to develop looking into politics. It was during the big refugee crisis. I don't know if you remember. And Germany was quite in the middle of all this chaos because German government said that they would take in refugees. And I don't know, I just found the shift of sentiment in our society super interesting. Because in the beginning it was very welcoming, and then it shifted to becoming more closed, more critical. I kind of discovered the subject of IR. IR is international relations. I will shorten it in this interview because it's very long to say all the time. And yeah, I kind of got fascinated. I developed some idealism about wanting to change the world. If I would study IR, I could change the world. I don't know. I'm more realistic these days, but that was, I think, the initial reason why I wanted to study it.
Let's start talking about pros and cons of the university.
This university is quite an old university. I think it's 400 years old now. It's one of the oldest universities in the Netherlands. So it's a very young city. It's the young cities of the Netherlands, probably one of the young cities in Europe. Besides being super small, you have a lot of activities there. You will not get bored in the city. So that is a pro. It's also a pro, you will bike a lot. It's a con that it rains a lot. These two things don't go very well together, but you will learn to deal with it. The university is quite integrated in the city because the city, to some extent, is the university. I would say the quality of teaching in this university is quite high. Very progressive university, very oriented towards research. Bachelor is in 3 years with 6 semesters, obviously, but every semester has 2 blocks. So you have 7 weeks of teaching and then directly exams. And then again, 7 weeks of teaching, exams. So it's a very high pace. But then on the other hand, you only have 3 subjects in the same time. So it is a quite concentrated type of learning, which I appreciated. Overall, I really enjoyed the university.
So there's no like cons? You said all the pros?
Cons is it's a very guided way of learning. You cannot really pick a lot of options, and it's also grading is really tough to teach. Plus, the high pace that I mentioned might be complicated to take, at least in the beginning. It's a very student-friendly university in that sense.
Okay.
Okay. I'm promoting this university right now a lot, but I'm not sponsored by them, I promise.
Okay. Okay, so from 0 to 10, which is the grade you will give to your university?
So 9 out of 10.
That's a very good grade, actually. Now that you have a bigger picture of this bachelor in the university, would you choose differently if you go back in time? Would you change the university or the bachelor?
So I do not regret studying this bachelor at all. Obviously, if I would have done something else, I would have been I would be a different person now. I would probably not be in Paris, but maybe somewhere else. But I do not regret choosing this bachelor or this university.
Okay. Now, how would you explain your bachelor, this 3-year program, to your grandma?
So what I usually tell people that are completely unfamiliar with what I'm doing, or my grandmother, then I tell them that international relations is a mixture of 4 subjects, which is politics, history, economics, and law. But I also have to say that is a very simplistic view on what we actually do. It's more of a way of connecting all these different subjects into one, because if you look at our world, these like economics and law and history and politics and culture and language and all these things, they are connected. And only if you then rip them apart, then you might study them in depth, but you will not be able to actually give a full picture of how the world works. So I tries like an emphasis on this trying part to connect all these subjects again, and to, by knowing about all these subjects at least a little bit, getting a bit more of an accurate picture of why politics or why international affairs in general, it doesn't necessarily only have to be politics, are working out the way how they work out. So you become quite a generalist in this subject. You will learn something about economics, but never enough to, be an expert in economics. You will learn something about law, but only to the point that you know that there's a lot more to know. And you will know about history and so on and so forth. Our equips you with the ability of being able to dissect information and to build, like, even if I would not know about the Syrian conflict, I could then look up things, and I would probably be more able than other people to understand quite fastly what are the important things that happen in this region, and what, for example, is more populist messages about what people claim that happened there. And you will also be able to understand that a lot of newspapers have very clear biases when they talk about things, and you will be if you study this, you might be more able to understand what biases there are and with what kind of mindset people are talking about a certain subject. There is a certain Western centrism on this program, although I would say that our university is actually working a lot on getting a lot of new progressive theories in there. So there's a lot about, they are teaching post-colonialism and feminism, for example, and how that plays out in international politics, which is good. It's a start, but there has to be done a lot.
Okay. Now we're going through the structure of your bachelor. All right. To talk about this first year, it says, well, introduction models, and you can also choose language, right?
I chose Chinese, yes, but you can choose out of quite high variety of mostly European languages. So you can have German, French. I think in German it's the same. You have to have an A2 for German or an A2 for French. Spanish you can start from the beginning. Italian you can start from the beginning. There's Swedish for everyone who wants to work for IKEA. Choose English if you don't really want to learn a new language. You can perfect your English.
And when you choose a language to study, there will be this language course for the 3 years. So you will
It's actually only for 3 semesters. So it's first and second year. but it's a quite ambitious language program. You are doing 10 credits of language every semester. It's quite an ambitious language program. So for example, if you do Spanish, which I think is the most ambitious language out of all of them, you are going from 0 to B2 within 3 semesters.
What can you tell me about political science?
Okay, political science is a bit of a funny subject because there are people who are studying political science as a bachelor, right? So it's just some sort of an introduction to learn about how political science, what theories there are in political science in general. So for example, you would learn something about rational choice theory that you probably also had in business. Learn basically how politics is studied in an academic environment.
Okay, so let's go to the second year. Theory of international relations.
That's very much a core part of the entire curriculum. And you either love it or you hate it. IR is kind of trying to understand how the world is working or why states are reacting to certain things in that way or that way. And but there is not like one way of looking at this. So there are a lot of different, very contradictory theories. So for example, there is realism, which is kind of the standard theory. And usually if you read the newspapers, you would see very realist interpretation of why states are doing what. It's often about military, about hard power. So hard power is usually coercive power. Either you force someone with military or with economic means, like sanction. You force. It's about power balances, power relations. It's about who is dominating whom, who has better strategies. So if you read, for example, analysis of why Russia is doing what, or why Turkey is doing what, or why China is doing what, or the US, then it will be very much through this power lens. But there are a lot of other theories of how you can interpret how world history is going forward. There is liberalism, which is not liberalism as, for example, liberalism in economics. It comes from that, but it's a bit of a different idea. It's about why states are cooperating, although they don't necessarily have to do. Then there are theories that are very much in the Marxist corner, and that very much take into account what actually the society is doing. For example, realism and liberalism, they would not take society into account. They would not care about the people who live in this country, but they kind of see countries as entities, and these entities are moving somewhere. And then there are other theories that much more look into domestic politics.
So my next question is about what is IPE? What does it?
IPE stands for International Political Economy.
Okay.
So it's when you do political or when you do economics as an IR person, you usually do the political part of economy.
So that's it. But maybe you want to explain this minor or the university, this honor programs, maybe?
Yes. Okay, so a minor is, as you can see, the 5th semester. Usually, in my case, it was a bit different, but that doesn't really matter. A minor is 38 ECTS of any subjects that you want. Well, I mean, it's not that you're completely free, but I mean, you're quite free to choose whatever you want. You could do half a year of astronomy, or you could do half a year of introduction to psychology or whatever. I mean, as long as there are certain guidelines, and you can obviously not take advanced courses, but you can do a personal minor like me. I did Spanish as my minor and philosophy, which was a consequence of COVID in a sense. You can do kind of a pre-packed minor. So the university offers half a year programs for people who want to do, for example, data science or something. You can go abroad in this semester as well. So the big advantage is because you can take any subject, there is no problem of picking any university. You can go to any university and you will not have a problem of them not accepting your courses. I mean, like Groningen not accepting your courses because they don't really have any prerequisites for courses, except that you cannot repeat courses you already did.
Right, okay. And this honor program is what you did?
The honors college, it's what I did. In my notes, I wrote down it's a pretentious program. It's actually a part that I'm very critical about. It is, they say it's a program for the best 10% of your university, basically of your program of your year. So if you actually in the end of the first semester, you receive an invitation to apply. If you don't receive an invitation, you can still apply. It's still possible to get in if you want to. And then they it's kind of an add-on program of, I don't know exactly how many credits there are. I think if you click on it, maybe you will find out. It is, here.
45.
It is 45 credits on top that are kind of distributed between deepening parts, so deep parts of your faculty. In my case, that was rhetoric and something like introduction to humanities and like conflict management. And then on the other hand, you have a broadening part where you can take courses from, for example, I don't know, faculty of science, faculty of psychology, faculty of engineering, and so on and so forth. So the idea is really great. The implication, maybe it was also because I was there in times of COVID. So for example, my summer school got cancelled. I had to do a summer school online when I was supposed to go to Paris, which was very frustrating.
Yeah.
And also I had the feeling that a lot of what they did was very much trying to emphasize how great they are, but then I did not really see how this program particularly advanced me, except that it looks very great on UCV. So if you are a person who's really interested in really effectively broadening their horizon, this program might not be the right thing, because it will not give you a lot of very deep additional knowledge. I mean, you will gain some knowledge, but you could gain that also in some YouTube tutorials, to be very, very honest.
Now, we're going to talk about job prospects. Which are the most common jobs after your bachelor?
Unemployed.
Okay.
Okay, so if you do this bachelor, you have to do a master's. I know that's a question you wanted to answer here, but I will take it directly. And it depends on this master that you take, what type of job you do.
Okay.
Most people who do the bachelor, they are kind of aiming towards, at least in this university, are aiming for working later in international organizations or NGOs. And then, for example, me, I'm aiming for working for the European Union, which is, in a sense, an international organization, although a very special one. That is something that you will talk a lot in this bachelor, about how special the European Union is.
Okay. So now we're going to talk about your exchange program, but I know that because of COVID, you didn't go, but you want to share your experience?
Yeah, I was supposed to go to China.
Yeah.
Because I speak then Chinese. I mean, in Europe, it's quite well connected, but then also internationally, there are quite some options in Korea. I was very focused on Asia, but you can go to Japan, to Korea, China. I'm not sure how it is about Vietnam. I haven't tried. There are some American universities, and the great thing is that if you go to all these universities, you're paying tuition fees in the Netherlands, so it's quite cheap.
That's good.
And there are two types of application processes, which I will only touch quite shortly because they're very lengthy. You might compete with people from your faculty, and it's an inter-faculty exchange, or you might compete with everyone from the university if it's like a university level exchange. These exchanges are more on demand, obviously, because you might compete with someone who studies biology and also wants to go to the university of a completely different faculty, but there are only 3 places for the entire university, whatever faculty. And I competed on this university level exchange because Fudan, where I wanted to go, they only had this type of exchange, and it's quite an extensive process. But then in the end, if you can go, you can, as I said, pick basically any course, as long as you do not pick a course that you already have in your curriculum. And yeah, then you are there for half a year.
Okay.
I don't know because I did not go.
Yeah, sorry to hear about it, but I have the same situation. So
yeah, true. You tried twice, right?
Twice, yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So we're going to the last part, and we'll talk about your master and your personal experience. So the first question is, do you need a master? And you already said yes. The big yes here. And so which master did you choose and why?
Okay, so right now I am studying in Sciences Po in Paris, in the master European Affairs, actually in a double degree with Fudan. So the proper name of my master is Europe and Asia in Global Affairs. But right now I'm in the master program of European Affairs with very European focus because my policy stream is called Europe in the World. So I could not be less, and I could not be more Eurocentric after all my criticism. My master here is very much more skills oriented, less academic focused. It is more on the law economic side of things. And why did I choose this master? Well, I chose, first of all, this university because it's a very famous, a university with a very high reputation. So I wanted to get here. I also applied, for example, to LSE and also to some other Dutch universities, where I also got accepted, but too late. I mean, in LSE. And also I wanted to go here because I wanted to learn French.
So, what kind of advice would you give to someone who want to study IR or who want to study at Groningen?
Okay, people who want to study IR or people who want to study in Groningen and not people who want to study IR in Groningen.
Can be
well. Okay. So,
all of them. Yeah.
So people who want to study IR, it's a very interesting subject, but it might be frustrating at sometimes because you will find out or you will feel that you actually are not really progressing. Like you have a feeling you're really just on the same spot because you get all these problems and you don't know how to solve them because nobody knows to solve them. Like, I mean, you cannot just solve Israel-Palestine, although your teachers sometimes assume you should do that. So it might be frustrating at times, and especially if you study in a university like Groningen, which is quite tough from the beginning on and has a super high pace, which you might not be used to if you come from high school. It, especially the first semester, might feel very, very hard because you will suffer a lot, especially when exam season the first time comes up because you're very nervous, you're very tense. You have a feeling you're not doing enough. At least that was for me the case. And your grades will not be as good as you might have been used to. However, it will get easier if you continue because you will get to know more about how to deal with exams, how to deal with what they want from you. Because, and that's the most important thing, because you will build up knowledge. Because the less you know, the harder it is to do all these exams. However, if you already have 2 years of studying, you can go back to what you learned before and you can use it for something else. So I think it's all about not trying to sprint, but rather to have like a it's going to be a long run. So don't try to run in the beginning already. Don't be too frustrated. And the biggest tip, I think, is everyone is frustrated. So if you have problems, talk to other people, which is not necessarily related only to this program, but to generally studying in universities, I think. Yeah, another tip is start studying from the beginning on, because if a lot of people, especially in the beginning, think, well, you know, I have more time and I can study later. But in the Netherlands, because of this block system, they will start you with exams after 7 weeks, even though you just studied 7 weeks in your entire life. So yeah.
Okay.
Oh, and also you should like to read. If like someone in this who is watching this video really hates to read, then this might actually be an obstacle, because half of all the work you're doing is reading. Like this is a very much literature-based bachelor.
Do you want to share some personal experience with us, like a hobby or something that happened to you, a program you did, research? I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, I did a lot of projects next to university. I was a person who was always doing more than they had to also sometimes my detriment. However, I worked for the university for some time. I worked for the Center of East Asian Studies, as I already mentioned. And it was quite a great experience because through working for the university, you kind of get to know first more the people who work in the university, and you see them less as just these people who grade you, and more as people who are actually kind of interesting because they research things and they might have a lot of knowledge. And then also because we did a lot of full conferences and winter schools. So we had a cooperation. I mean, I say we had because at some point COVID hit and then all of these things stopped. And I stopped working for them. So maybe they started all these projects again. I don't know. But we had a cooperation with Busan University from Korea. And we had 2 winter schools from them there, which I had the privilege to, I mean, like to guide around and to organize partly. I organized some lectures and some excursions. And that was really interesting because that kind of shows you that there are actually people around the world who are kind of doing the same as you, and talking to them with a completely different perspective because they're in a very completely different environment is super interesting.
I'm going to finish this interview now. So I'm really, really excited to do this interview. And I think it will not be the last time that you see Johanna in my channel, because she will be here again, I hope, for the master. So we will do this interview about her master in Sciences Po. So if you like the video, please share it with your friends and comment your thoughts. Don't hesitate to contact me if you have any doubts, and I will be really happy to help. So thank you again for watching this video, and see you soon. Bye.
Bye.